All right, what's up, everybody? This is Jason from the Tone Lab, and welcome to another episode of Chillin in the Studio. And today, I got a super cool guest, Mendel Bij de Leij. Did I say that correctly?
Oh, dude.
All
you
right.
actually nailed it. You nailed it.
Sweet. This has been a hard one to set up, man, and it starts with me. I totally trusted AI. I asked AI, like, hey, what time is it in the Netherlands compared to where I'm at right now? And it was like, yeah, there's a 5-hour difference. And I was like, sweet. And so I'm expecting noon. And then you were kind of sending me some messages like, man, this Mendel, he's a go-getter. Like, this guy, he's prompt. It's like 2 hours early. And I didn't even bother to think my time was screwed up because why would it mess that up? You know what I mean?
No problem, dude. No problem.
Yeah. So I really feel bad about that. But thank you so much. I mean, it really is a testament to your character, dude, to the fact that I'm nobody and you took the time here. So thank you very much for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem at all, dude. No problem at all.
Yeah. So let's get into this. I've got some questions here for you. I'm just curious. So, tell us that, for those, I'm sure most of the people that are going to watch this know who you are, but for those that don't, tell us a little bit about yourself and when you got into this and what got you into music.
Right. Sorry. I zoned out. What was the question again?
The question is who you are and how did you first get into music?
So I'm Mendel Bij de Leij. I live in a lovely country called the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I guess most people will know me from the Aborted days. I used to play in a death metal band called Aborted. And I'm a guitar player and a producer and composer here in the Netherlands. And that's what I do in the music biz. And how I got in the music biz, started playing piano first, I think around 8, 9-ish. Around that age, playing organ. Like my dad was an organ player and piano player. Then started drumming a tiny bit. And then I saw Muse on TV with the video clip of Plug-in Baby back in 2001, I think. And that got me hooked. That's the thing that got me hooked to play guitar and never looked back. And then basically played in some thrash metal bands. I was really loving that fast thrash stuff, like The Haunted and Hatesphere. Got more into technical death metal, Necrophagist.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, 100%. Played with some local bands, and then via I got into a band called System Divide, which was a band with Sven from Aborted, the vocalist, and his back then wife. And through that, got into Aborted, basically. Yeah. Awesome.
So Muse, huh? That's kind of a different one. They're pretty cool. I love the bass tone in that. Like it's all this like crazy heavy bass.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and so then I've got your earliest influences, and you kind of tapped into that. So how did that go? Like, you guys just kind of started Aborted out there, or were you a founding member, or you came in later?
Oh, I came in way later. Like, Aborted has been around, they started in 95, I think.
Okay.
And, I was a fan, still am, like, especially, yeah. Like, everyone knows Gormageddon, that's a killer album. For me as well, Archaic Abattoir, love that album. Just a fan, super fan, big fan of the band. And then later on, they just asked me to play guitar for them. I guess, like via, like most of the times when bands they look for new members, if they need new members, I think most of the time they look to people they trust and know. And a buddy of mine, JB, he played in that band, the bass player, ex-bass player. And I knew JB because JB and I grew up in the same area. It's an area called Friesland, Frisia, which is the only place in the Netherlands that has its own language besides Dutch.
Nice.
So we knew each other. He played bass, and then Sven asked if he knew a new guitar player for System Divide. And that's how I got the System Divide job later on into Aborted, yeah.
Nice. And you toured with them?
Yeah, a bunch. Like, I think with Aborted, I toured for, I think, 7 years.
Oh.
And I can't remember on how many. I think it was a Necrotic Manifesto album, Termination Redux EP, Bathos EP, and Retrogore, and then TerraVision. I think TerraVision was the last album I was on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And so that's pretty heavy. That's kind of a lot to just kind of to walk away from. Do you care to elaborate on like what led to your decision to leave and I guess go solo? Would that be the proper thing to say?
Yeah. But basically, what happened was in 2018, March, my dad passed away. And then these cliche thoughts, I guess, go like, what do I want to do before I... Just putting it very bluntly, before I die, what do I want to achieve? Sure. And after touring for 7 years, well, basically technically 7 years.
Sure.
My motivation was going down. They noticed my motivation was going down. And also I had started having different interests like film scoring,
sure,
more audio production kind of stuff. And that basically led into that was the best for me, just like let them go on and me leave the band.
Gotcha. So it's just kind of the right time you were ready to kind of branch out and check some more boxes.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And still, like, I saw Aborted last week. They're, in my opinion, and probably biased, but definitely the best death metal band out there. The show was seriously, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, so to anyone who's listening to this, if you haven't seen Aborted live yet, do it.
Yeah.
Worth the ticket.
It's weird how I guess I discovered you is because, you know, I originally from Colorado in the United States, and we started kind of doing death metal and stuff like in the early 90s. I spent some time living in Tampa, Florida, and it was kind of like the birth of the OG kind of death metal in that area. So there was some really cool bands. There was like these old kind of they were like storage units, and there was just a bunch of different bands back then. And I remember kind of being a bit, you know, feeling like I was a part of something new. And then when I moved to Denver, it was like, oh, you know, like where are all these bands? And I wind up, you know, I think there was like Cephalic Carnage and some of these other bands. And so we came up kind of in this time. Cephalic wound up going on the road, and the rest is history. And then we sort of dissolved, and then I kind of went down the same road. I tried pushing some bands, but not any huge touring. I've been around the U.S. a little bit, but never got to go overseas. That was kind of a disappointment. But and then I started, you know, I got married, had kids, and it was like, well, I really enjoy recording and producing, but myself. And some of the stuff that I was doing on my own kind of rinky-dink recordings, you know, some of my buddies were like, man, we were paying top dollar for this recording, and we like what you're doing better, you know, like what's $1,000 get us, you know, what's 15. So I just kind of started doing this, but ultimately it's always just been a project studio. It's more like just been to feed my gear fix. But and then, you know, I've always been a big Cubase head. A friend of mine actually interviewed him last week, but he kind of got me into Cubase. I think it was Cubase 3. And then I just went 3, 4, 5, 6 and just kind of evolved from there. Then when I moved to Idaho, I kind of, you know, remodeled a house and did some stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm going to dust off all this stuff and kind of get going. But now I'm just going to focus completely on my own music. And so just looking at YouTube videos and trying to get up to speed on Cubase, I found you. And so I was watching your videos and was like, man, this guy, like, the stutter effect, I was like, oh, I got that from Mendel. Like, you just cut this up. And so I was really enjoying your videos. And then one day you mentioned Aborted, and I was like, wait, I know that band. And I was like, holy cow, like this would be really, so I feel really, really privileged that you stopped in to talk to me, man. I appreciate that. And so listening to your solo stuff, wow, dude. You go through all kinds of different stuff like the baroque and classical fusion. It's really different, kind of unique blend of that. How did you evolve into that? Or have you always kind of been it because you started with piano and organ, or how did that come in?
Oh, good question. So when I very first started to dive in music, like my dad had like a bunch of like old like vinyl records. But there was one record, I still have it somewhere, which was these organ performances of Bach pieces, and that just hooked me. And it started with that cliche piece, the Dracula one, the that one.
Yeah.
Try to learn it on organ. Way too young. Like for me, like when you're 9, 10-ish and try to learn Bach, it's even, dude, it's one of the most difficult pieces you can imagine with all the counterpoint and stuff. But tonally, I really got a weakness for like melancholy minor, harmonic minor, chord progressions kind of stuff. And that's something that if Bach or if you have a Baroque composer, if they write in minor, it's 99% of the time harmonic minor with some melodic minor outsteps. But basically that set the whole foundation for a big part of my taste, I'd say. Because when listening to Muse, like if you would play Muse on an organ, some songs, it could sound like Bach easily, or Rachmaninoff for that matter. But backtracking back to Bach, it's like 9 years old, loving Bach, I still do to this day. Then later on, when I started playing guitar, it was interesting to play like classical stuff on guitar, like that Toccata in Fugue in D minor BWV 656, or like the Paganini Caprices, especially number 5 and 24, because another guitar player, Jason Becker, really influenced me to check that out. Then I got like into Malmsteen. Ingrid Malmsteen is of course has big classical influences. A band called Symphony X with Michael Romeo had a huge influence on that regard. And then also even Necrophagus. Like Necrophagus has a lot of neoclassical kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that was sort of a gateway because I loved Bach before loving metal, classical music, Baroque classical music, and Romantic later on. And when you have metal combining that, it's like 1 and 1 is 2. You start loving metal.
Right.
You still love classical from back in the day. And that results in this mesh of like both of those worlds combined. So, and that's what I tried to do. Like Malmsteen, I loved the sound of harpsichords. I tried to blend that with metal. Those typical Baroque kind of, well, I would say Baroque or more Romantic era, bit of Beethoven or Rachmaninoff kind of pedal tones kind of movements.
That's wild. And I mean, you the way you're blending it, and I think you're doing a fantastic job with it. And so it's just been really fascinating to how I was presented Mendel. It was like backwards. It was like the Cubase stuff. Because my wife, she plays piano, and she's playing piano on our recording projects called Playgrat, and it's like 1600s, and she's doing these pieces. And so I didn't even know you were kind of into that. I was like, I listened to this and I listened to Aborted, and then I went and listened to your solo stuff, and I was like, oh wow, I really got to talk to this dude. Like, this is really interesting. But so when you start writing that, how do you typically start? Do you is it just a pen? You maybe start with a piece, you play out a piano piece, a guitar piece, or is it really, does it matter? Do you have a specific way when you really sit down to start writing?
I want to say it depends, because sometimes it starts with noodling on a riff.
Sure.
I look at the fretboard a certain way, which is very harmonic minor based.
Sure.
So it starts with either a riff, a melody, or just like my phone, like the what's called the Memo, the voice recording app on the iPhone, like is filled with, I think by now, like at least 200 mumbling ideas that just pop into my head in the shower or when waking up or stuff like that. So it starts with that mumbling, and then sometimes when I sit there, it's like, oh yeah, what was that mumbling thing? And I listen back to it, and then something comes out of it. But I think it's just like my brain, like I've listened to a lot of classical music and a lot of metal, of course, and rock, and also love gypsy jazz. And there's this certain library, I guess, in my head, and sometimes something pops up. And with all fairness, sometimes something pops up like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Then I'm like, wait, this is definitely a riff from a different band. I know it. Sometimes it's more original, which is a lucky moment for me, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is it even possible to there not be a little something from some kind of band at this point? Like, I
always say everyone steals from Bach. Everything can be, even the nastiest black metal. There's something Bach has already done. So yeah, I'm good.
We were talking about that in a prior episode. It was like, when was metal born? And it's like, well, when the church banned minor keys, like, it's like, soon as it's like, okay, no, like you can't stop that. And here we, so would that be 1600s, 1700s, so probably. Now go ahead.
No, I was about to say probably, but I think I could even say, like, dare I say it, there wouldn't be metal without like Christian church music, which is for death metal or satanic metal or black metal kind of ironic. But all that, like all those chord progressions, it's this Catholic guy called Bach already did it. Probably. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that because playing in bands, I've always said, like, dude, these like black metal dudes know the Bible better than half the Christians I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they got to be able to like hammer against it. And it's like, so now that you're doing this, like, so you're completely self-produced now, 100%, or do you still work with some other cats?
Basically, fully self-produced. Sometimes, like, I'm starting a new project with Iris Goosens, which is a Dutch vocalist. She lives in the US now, but we're working on a couple of tracks and just have a cool side project, see how it goes. But for my solo stuff, it's basically all self-produced. I had real drums on an album called Universal Omega, played by Koen Herfst. Amazing, phenomenal drummer. But basically now, it's all just self-written, self-produced, mixed, mastered, etc. Yeah.
Nice. And so do you have like your full studio space, drum room and all of that, or do you maybe go to spaces still?
It's basically all drums are programmed on my projects, and it's just me, my guitar plugged straight into my Apollo interface, just with a quality Mogami cable. That's it, just simple as possible.
Yeah, this one right here, Mogami cable. Yeah,
there you go.
Have them. Have one.
There's a difference. There's definitely a difference.
There is.
So just that, and I have a couple of guitars here, and just these days just play through plugins. I love how they sound. I have a bunch of amps here, which I captured to like neural amp, Mother, Tonex. Yeah. And basically just play through those captures. Oh, dude,
yes,
thank you.
Yes, because I want the Road King and I can't afford it. And I'm like, well, you know what? You know who probably did a good job is Mendel. So I think I'm going to go snag that up. And I think it might be on my last single. It might be. I think I had like my capture tone and that Road King and tweaked and stuff, of course. But dude, and that was the thing when I was kind of like researching you. It's like, is there anything you don't do? Like, are you a good cook too, or what? I was like, holy cow, this dude does everything.
Well, I love to cook, I have to say.
All right.
but of course, there are a million things I can do. But I guess I love to learn. I'm always curious. Yeah. So I guess that's why I'm just curious to learn stuff. Like if I want to learn mixing years ago, just like, okay, what do I like? How do I get that Andy Sneap kind of production or Colin Richardson? Yeah. That kind of stuff. But there are millions of things I can do that'll just let different people do, of course.
Yeah, and so that brings us to what basically you kind of tapped on your current setup and gear and space and workflow. So you're pretty much in the box, maybe a little hybrid.
Yeah, it's I have, let's see. Well, basically the only analog mixing tools I have, and I'll make a different shot for you if you want, but I have two, what's it called? The thing you have in front of you there, the SSL clone, the SSL bus compressor, two clones.
Oh, yeah.
I have an Audioscape clone, which I really like, but slightly like more the stem audio one, which I'll do a video about soon.
Nice.
It's called the SA4000 Mark III. It's sick. It's like an E series bus compressor, but also the G series, both in one unit.
Nice.
Has cool transformers, awesome compressor. But with all honesty, for efficiency, these days I'm 100% in the box, because what I do, there's this plugin called STL Control Hub, which lets you capture your own analog gear. So I capture the Audioscape and the stem audio one, so I can have it at different instances in the mix. And it sounds, in my ears, like it fooled me when I did like blind tests and stuff. So that's it.
There you go.
Yeah, so mixing is all, I'd say, all in the box. Maybe on the mastering session, once in a while, I'll use the real analog gear. Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think nowadays, obviously you have a channel and you go through all this stuff, and I kind of just more of a poking around and having fun as far as my channel's concerned. It's all kind of for fun. I don't do like the deep tutorials or anything, but the tools available to us right now, like if I would have had all these tools when I was 16, I don't know, maybe I'd be like my 16-year-olds and be like, I'm not interested. It's like sensory overload, like the kids nowadays. It's like, man, like hooking up like a 4-track and everything, like to where we're at today is pretty amazing. I had a question on here about your drums, which you pretty much went through that. You mostly program them, but you do collaborate with some drummers too. So yeah. And as a Cubase content creator, because you do kind of work with or for Cubase. They say kind of sets you up. So that's your main DAW, and that's by choice?
Like I remember years ago, I think we started on the same version perhaps. It was called Cubase SX3.
SX3, yeah, that's the one.
I don't know how I found it. I think a buddy of mine called Rob, he has this project called Toxic Grind Machine. I think like back on the day you had like the Andy Sneap forum, and we both live in the Netherlands, and I think he said should check out Cubase or something. I can't even remember what I used before that. I started on a program called Guitar Tracks Pro, so nothing with Guitar Pro, but just like this weird recording thing. I don't even think there was like a line or something, but I think like it really started for me on Cubase SX3, I think, yeah.
And how does that happen? You just kind of start making videos with Cubase and they kind of approach you, or they're kind of in your area?
I actually approached them. So I'm in the Netherlands, they're in Germany, and I noticed on their, like this was year, I think 2018, I believe. I noticed on their channel there was nothing rock or metal related. Well, there are a lot of rock metal engineers who use Cubase. So I thought, hey, I love mixing metal. Maybe we could do like a collaboration. They were like, yeah, hey, this sounds like a cool idea. So let's do it. And that's it. That's the rest is history, I guess. So I've been doing that for, I think, almost 6 years now.
Yeah, a bunch of your videos have bailed me out. I'm like, I forget, where is this at? It's like it really hasn't changed. It's changed a ton since SX3, but really, everything is sort of still in the same places. It's just, I think I might have skipped a couple of generation or a couple of,
versions,
eight or versions. Yeah. But, for the most part, my recommendation is always like, if you don't want to update every time, like, maybe update every other one or every third one, you stay updated. Well, obviously if you're doing content for them, so out of all of your interests, like, is there a main one, or is it just all the above?
What do you mean the main one?
Like, is your solo music sort of your main day to day? Are you producing for other people? Are you doing your video content? What is, like, say your main, and then everything's branches out?
Yeah, so my main source of income is producing, like mixing and mastering bands. I just finished, or just got released, like I did the Cytotoxin record called Biographied, if I'm correct. Awesome record. I'm really proud. I'm really happy how that turned out sound-wise, and people seem to like it. Besides that, I do like commercial stuff, like writing music for companies, like for commercials on radio or TV, etc. And I have some YouTube stuff on the side with brands. For example, when there's a brand like, let's say, a brand called Red 7 makes awesome amplifiers, and they're like, hey, we're coming out with a new pedal or something. You want to check it out? Like, sure. Then I'll make like a demo video for it.
Really good clean tones on those too. Like
True. Yeah, I have this in my rack. This preamp D100 Pre tube amplifier. It's solid. It's absolutely stunning. Love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And so, do you find it difficult to, your creative life and time management? Do you find you get overwhelmed at times with so many irons in the fire, or you stay pretty scheduled? Like, how do you juggle all that?
I'm getting better at time management. With all honesty, I'm not the best. I'm a workaholic. So
obviously,
yeah, but actually, like years in the past, I was like just mixing, working. But I'm getting way better at taking rests and just taking time for myself. Love taking walks in nature, especially now when the sun's more out. It's just lovely to walk in the nature, take rest, which is very important to everyone. Just take your rests. You need to chill down.
Yes, sir.
But sometimes it can get heated. But there's this app my buddy recommended called Todoist, and that saved my life. I can dump all my thoughts or projects in there, arrange it, and then I'm getting better at scheduling them. But let's just say getting it out of my head is very relieving.
Yeah, that sounds to-do list. I've on small scale, pretty darn busy, and there's some days like, it's too much, because when the one thing is that when I sit down and I want to be creative, and I don't want to, find, update drivers, things like that, and it's like, so you kind of basically, went through that, any routines and mindsets that help you stay focused. It's using that app and taking times in nature. Yeah. You guys just had that's King's Day. We were going to try for that Saturday, and it's interesting because, like I said, I've never been to Europe, but we've wanted to go for years and had a couple opportunities that just fell through. And so I was like, oh, what is that? And I kind of went and researched, and wow, that looks really fun. Right.
Yeah, it's one of the most fun things. Like, everyone is having a good time then, because it's basically two phases, sort of. First off, it used to be Queen's Day, but now we have a king. So on King's Day, you basically sell all your stuff you want to get rid of on the streets, like in front of your home, but mainly like in the streets. So like when you go to a big city, there are like hundreds of people sitting on the streets with all the stuff they don't need anymore, all DVDs, clothes, shoes, or everything you can imagine. And you can always try to get a bargain or find stuff you want. So it's fun. That's the first thing you do. You just go to the city. Or the thing I like to do, you go to the city and just look to all the stuff, and maybe there's something fun, maybe some quirky, maybe some old nostalgic PC game that probably won't work on your modern PC anymore, but it's just fun. And then basically it's just having a good time at night, just going out or drinking and partying and that kind of stuff. But it's fun. Like, everyone's clothed orange because orange is our festive color with the national football team and stuff. So it's fun. It's just fun. Everyone's smiling. This one of the rare days where there are a lot of people together in the streets and everyone's having a good time. I love it.
Yeah, and like
Positive
a big old garage sale almost. And then I
100%.
seen like all the boats going down this river, and everybody was wearing orange, and it was just like hundreds of these boats, and they were all just like about to capsize.
Yeah, but like, that's it. 100%.
Yeah, it looked really fun. So I have a question here, and I think I already know the answer because then I went down the film score line, And so I don't know if you could score any movie or video game, what would it be was a question. And I did see that you did something for The Witcher.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Yeah. That
So,
was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was not the Netflix Witcher, but it was like a Polish fan film.
Probably a way better one. No.
To be honest, I liked the first season of The Witcher. Second, and there's also a third one, right? Well,
I believe so. The third one might have been the bust. Yeah.
I just couldn't.
I couldn't do it either.
I don't know. Like there was something, for example, about the maturity of Game of Thrones that I loved way more than I don't know what it is about The Witcher, but yeah, that was fun to do. That was also like a while ago. But if I could score any game or any movie set, any game or any movie,
both, whatever. Yeah.
Oh my. Game wise, man, I have no idea. So, I mean, maybe something fantasy like would be cool. That's like working with the woodwinds and orchestra and flutes. Can get that fantasy Celtic vibe would be really cool.
Yeah.
To explore. Movie. Man, I have no idea. Maybe something big and epic. I'm down. I'm down for any project. Yeah, if it's a challenge, I'm down.
And so maybe a quick sidebar question is like, so obviously that approach is much different when you say you're doing music, metal, whatnot, and then you switch over to movie scores and whatnot. Are you still using Cubase? Or you kind of go more nuendo?
No, it's everything's in Cubase.
Everything's, especially now. I mean, you can still see your video on there and whatnot.
Yep.
And the process is pretty much the same to you. You just put the film up and kind of just start laying it down.
Well, that's a good question. Not really. That was quite difficult to get a grasp on, because with music you're a lot of time in a certain measure, like 4/4 or 3/4, and then with a certain tempo. But image or a film doesn't per se always move. Like the emotions of characters don't move in 4/4 or 3/4.
Good point.
So it's more fluid, and you're really looking at the picture. Something comes up and you're following that. And sometimes there could be, like, for example, a sequence or a certain scene when there's maybe no dialogue and there's room for just a piece of music which is in a certain tempo. But normally it's more about soundscapes and it's more fluid, if that makes any sense. It's more flowing to the emotions of actors, characters, or the scene and stuff.
Yeah, so really bring your patience and kind of got to get into the vibe of the movie. And so really you probably got to like the movie as well. Like you can't just get kind of random movies thrown at you.
Yeah, and 100%. It's like when you get a movie without music, or sometimes there's like the stock music, you really have to get like a sense of what is it that the director wants. Like for me, films is a lot of phone calls, or the director comes here, or calling with the director, and I always ask, what do you want to feel at this scene? Because technical terms like, yeah, we want it more harder, should be more brighter, like 10 kilohertz, that stuff, in my opinion, that's gibberish. That doesn't even matter, especially for film scoring. It's more like a feeling sense. So if an actor says like, yeah, this is an important scene and the actors are crying and I want it as minimum as possible but very touching, okay, then that's for me way more clear than any other gibberish of words. So that could be like just one violin doing some soundscape stuff. That could be enough. But it's trial and error and you get better at it. Yeah, but the most important thing is you have to absolutely throw your entire ego out of the window.
Yeah. And really, I guess really just trying to portray emotion a lot too. You know, like you could think of like an exercise where maybe you see a child walking up the stairs. You could play happy music and it's a beautiful scene. You could play dark, scary music and you're like, oh shit, like what's around the corner, you know, just by changing the music up. So that seems like it would be really rewarding as well once it's done.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So as we wind down here, I got a couple left. Like, so what piece of gear, or is there a piece of gear that you regret selling, or is there also one that you wish you would have bought earlier?
Wow, Jesus. Wow. I wish I dived. So there are 2 guitar brands I got into recently. One is called Aristides. They make guitars out of Arium. It's this stuff.
Oh yeah,
so you can see it there.
Yeah.
But this thing absolutely, like this is, this is no promo shot or name dropping. I would put my soul on the line. This is definitely one of the best guitars I've ever played in my life. And it's set up perfectly. I picked it up last week and I played it and it was instantly locked in.
Light?
Yeah, very light, but actually not too high, not too low. It was like I didn't touch the setup, anything, and it resonates perfectly. I am not a fan of neck-through guitars. But this one is a neck through. Well, it's not made of wood, but still it's a neck through. And it sounds phenomenal. Another brand, a Dutch brand, is called Van der Meij. So this thing, I'm sure you can see it over there. It's a Dutch brand. And it's a very thick guitar. It's based on my Les Paul. It's those things that if you want to sound very boring, but it's true, for me at least now, like guitars are basically tools to express myself. And for me, I want to express myself as easy as possible. Like I don't want to think about technical stuff or about, I should have changed the action or maybe this should be tweaked. I just want to pick up the guitar and I want to be in that zone. And those 2 guitars, besides my first Les Paul, which is just a cheap Epiphone, was one of the best guitars I have. I wish I went earlier into those 2 guitars, but because those 2 guitars motivate me to write.
Normally I have a co-host, and he's a good friend of mine, a phenomenal guitarist. And out of all the questions that he had, he wanted to ask you about your Epiphone. He was like, dude, I know he's got this cheap Epiphone that he likes, and he's like, I wanted to ask him about it. And I was like, out of all the questions, that's what he wanted to know. I was like, yeah, it's like you never know. Sometimes a guitar just speaks to you, don't it?
This guitar, dude. So this thing has been with me for 21 years, and it did get the last guitar I showed you, Van der Meij. He refretted this guitar because I got this guitar from my dad. I want to have it in optimal condition, and dude, it's seriously. It plays better than, I'm not going to name brands, but it plays better than some of my custom guitars or other guitars from back in the day. I don't know what it is. It could be that the cheapness really resonates with me on this Les Paul. But it's just, there's a certain, like that's why I still use it in demo videos on YouTube. Because there's a certain snap brightness to it. When I chug, it feels right.
I noticed all those pretty much have those Fishmans too. I seen you did a deal where you had the Fishmans where you could roll single coil like telly sound on the. Are you still rocking those?
Yeah, no, 100%. So
phenomenal tone.
Oh, thank you. I've been playing Fishman now for I think 8 years by now, maybe more. But they just they resonate with me. I think all Fishmans by now have 3 voicings. So for those who don't know, these are not your typical active pickups. Even from the inside, they're different.
Right.
And basically, you can change the entire sound by changing voicings. So I really like the Devin Townsend ones and the Mick Thompson from Slipknot ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically voice one is like active, then you have passive, then you have single coil, and especially the Mick Thompson one, single coil. It's so twangy. I love it. And with a lot of stuff, I like to have as much options as possible in as minimum space as possible.
Sure.
So to have one guitar with 3 complete different voices,
right,
worked for me. 100%.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, and to go from that far of a spectrum, I mean, wow, you know, you'd have to have 3 different guitars. You know,
True.
Why not the neck through? You like kind of the snappiness of the bolt on, or
that's it. So I'm a big fan of bolt on or set necks because the Les Paul's a set neck, but it's still really snappy. I just can't, pun intended, resonate with neck throughs. It's not my thing. But the weird thing is this Aristides guitar, like I said, it's made of arium, so not wood, but this special material they developed in the Netherlands at the university, I think.
Wow.
Even. But you can see it's
Oh,
neck
wow.
through. But
crazy.
I mean, it's maybe you can hear it here, but it's really snappy. It's one of the best sounding guitars I have. So, but I guess there's something with wood and neck through that I'm not a fan of. But that's just me.
No, fair enough. I was just curious. Yeah, well, everybody's kind of got different reasons for why they like what they like, and so, man, hey, thanks again, dude. This was really hard to set all this up. You know, obviously the time difference, and I missed my co-host Tony Engel, so we'll get him on the next one here. But so I guess winding down, this is a goofy one, but I kind of like asking some of the goofy questions. Like, if your music was a creature, what would it look like?
Oh my God.
It's a real hard one.
Creature. I would say Anubis from the old Egyptian era. Maybe does that count? No, that's a god. That would a creature, dude.
Anubis is god creature, kind of. Yeah.
Maybe Cthulhu from Lovecraft.
Yeah.
I try to get as heavy as possible with the riffing, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that comes up to mind.
So what's next in 2025? What you got going on this year?
My new solo EP is done. We're working on. We're in the talks of a new video. So
congrats.
Hopefully within a few months, finally a new single out. Doing that new project with Iris Goosens, like this metal project. And then if time allows it, this year I'm releasing an online course platform where people can learn audio production, metal audio production, but also guitar playing, like down picking, sweeping, and explaining my songs. And then in the pipeline is starting a new death metal project in 2026.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Busy.
Always.
All right, man. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and checking us out. Staying to the end. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. All of that crap. And do you have any links that you'd like to share before we sign off?
Sure, you can check out. Just go to my Instagram, Instagram.com/Medallion, or just like MENDELIAN. Same thing for YouTube. Or just check my website, mendelaudio.com.
Great. All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. We'll see you again next time. Take care.
Bye-bye. Cheers.